Old Man in Oriental Attire. Professor Slive writes, Valentiner noted the relationship of this drawing to Rembrandt's etching B281. These observations are sensible, but weaknesses in the drawing make it difficult to make a firm attribution to the master. Perhaps it's a copy after a lost original. Well, I see no weakness. Rembrandt's geometry is as firm and to the point as ever. I see sketchiness where Slive sees weakness. This and another drawing of the same subject, also rejected, could make the subject of a doctoral thesis. My guess is that Rembrandt asked the model who did King David in this drawing to stay on to experiment with poses for Anslo. Here is a series of works that show us Rembrandt's method in more detail than ever before. Two of them have been de-attributed. Rembrandt rarely wasted his time on smartening up his drawings, as he did not foresee selling them. They were only sold as a result of his bankruptcy. This drawing is another good example of Rembrandt's shorthand, a term often used by an earlier generation of scholars. Way back in AD 77, Pliny wrote, "The last works of artists and their unfinished paintings are admired more than those which are finished, because in them are seen the preliminary drawing left visible, and the artist's actual thoughts." So this idea has been around for a long time and has clearly influenced many artists besides Rembrandt. Our brains automatically make sense of the patches of coloured light that come to our eyes. Titian was the first artist who realised that we would make equal sense of patches of coloured paint. Velázquez, Rembrandt, and Frans Hals eagerly followed Titian's great example. Rembrandt took this shorthand approach further in his paintings. He also invented a similar shorthand for his private researches in drawing by focusing on what I call space clues, such as the section described by a hatband or drapery going round a form. When these are placed in perfect relationship on the page, they conjure the three-dimensional world without any problem. That is what you are faced with in these two sketches. He was, of course, perfectly capable of the full works, but for me, the shorthand sketches are more interesting and carry Rembrandt's concerns more clearly. What the scholars have found weak, I and many other artists find dynamic and compelling, the very essence of drawing. A clear example of the benefits of Rembrandt's shorthand is this guest at the table. He is about to leap to his feet. Rembrandt conveys the essence of the pose, the pressure of his hand on the table and his toe on the floor, because of the shorthand. Starting on the left, we see an accumulation of books and a double candlestick with one candle in it. We see precisely the same accumulation in the finished portrait of Anslo, but seen from a slightly lower angle. The lighting coming from the left is the same. The table and drapes are virtually the same. The positioning of Anslo's hand is very similar to the drawing, and if we look carefully to the left of that visible hand, we can see an erased hand in front of his chest that is posed thumb up exactly like the painting. There may even be a third position of the hand, tried below the visible one. In fact, this drawing has so many resemblances to the painting that it's indeed strange that the two have not been compared before. Stranger still, the Goldware etching compared by Valentina, instead of being reversed by the printing process, is in fact the same way round as the drawing. It would seem that Rembrandt has invented a shelf from which to suspend the balance. If it is intended as a shelf, the perspective is way out. In fact, there is another etching, Student at a Table by Candlelight, B148, that does reverse the subject, but otherwise resembles this drawing as very much more closely than the Goldware. The scholars seem to be deliberately shying away from any suggestion that was a real desk with an accumulation of books on it that Rembrandt drew, painted and etched. My own explanation for the similarity between the Goldware and this drawing is that Rembrandt himself sat at this desk and observed the setup in a mirror as he drew on the plate, in preparation for the true sitter, Jan Utenborger, who was the official Goldware, who will come for his portrait. The resemblance of the etching to Rembrandt is surely undeniable. This would explain the lack of print reversal, as Rembrandt was drawing on the plate from a mirror reversal itself. These positive clues are very evident in the second drawing that needs to be reattributed to Rembrandt's corpus. Look particularly at the pages of the open book, the section of the hat as it defines the form of the forehead and the hands. Do you see how endlessly fascinating the greater Rembrandt can be, simply because we're looking at what he was looking at, not at his style or his imaginings? It's quite clear we've left Rembrandt in the hands of experts who have no idea of the process of trial and error which forms a major part of Rembrandt's creative process.